what about going back to organic and the sort of situation where there's a bunch of sellers who have the same product and they're listed under one listing, and the one that is shown first is what is called the buy box. So how do you get to that coveted buy box position if you're competing with 15 other sellers that also have the same pair of shoes?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a challenge, and it's a sort of daily challenge. So we work mostly with brands, so they would see it from the opposite side, where they're selling their product on Amazon, and some of their resellers or distributors are also selling the products on Amazon on the same product page, and so they're competing with their resellers and distributors. So in that instance, it's kind of, how does the brand win the sale? We have other businesses that are pure play resellers, but the principles are the same. Obviously, it's just different perspectives of whether you're a reseller or a brand. But there's about 14 different factors that we would look at to sort of understand why business is winning the buy box or not winning the buy box. There are some key ones that far outweigh the rest of them. So price inevitably is going to be critical. You've got to be competitive on price. You don't necessarily need to be the best price, but it obviously helps. Second to that is your fulfillment method. So the buy box algorithm would favor a seller who has next day delivery. So either they're using fulfillment by Amazon, which is next day delivery, or they're using what's called seller fulfilled prime. So that seller is using their own warehouse or a third party warehouse that can meet the same level of next day delivery performance that Amazon can. And therefore Amazon will give them that prime badge because they will do next day delivery. So next day delivery is definitely, or the speed of delivery is a critical factor as well. There are other things. So you could argue that within the algorithm, there might be some extra weighting given to the brand rather than resellers. People want to buy from the brand direct, not from a reseller. And then there's a whole host of sort of account health metrics that Amazon would look at. So things like, how many units do you have in stock of that particular product? How often do you go out of stock? What's your seller rating? So your products will have a rating, a review and a rating, but you as a seller would have a rating as well. So they'll look at those kind of things, the feedback from customers at that kind of seller level, and all of the sort of operational metrics in the background that are critical just to running a good business. So what Amazon's looking for is to promote sellers that are going to deliver what Amazon want them to deliver, which is a good price, always in stock, and quick delivery. So if you can do those things, then you're ahead of most of the competition. The way to sort of get an edge really is to use dynamic repricing. So Amazon have a repricing tool within their platform, if in the Seller Central account, which you can use to set bid rules on your pricing. So always be 1 cent cheaper than your competition, that kind of thing. To be fair to Amazon, it's a pretty good tool. There are third-party applications that are probably more sophisticated with more sort of control and more pricing options in them. And we use some of those as well. Just depends on sort of the complexity and the level of competition. But if you're a reseller, then I'd absolutely be recommending, and you're in a competitive market, then looking at those third-party applications to sort of run automated repricing for you. That's a critical part of it. If you're not doing that, then you're really going to struggle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Interesting. So it can be a little bit a race to the bottom in terms of price, just to stand out.
Yeah, it can be, but then everyone's got their sort of floor price, if you like. So we do see that that's quite dynamic. So let's say we're doing it for our one of our brands who's then competing against people in the supply chain, the brand will obviously have a better margin, but they'll also be thinking, I need to protect the brand as well, so I can't just go down to any kind of ridiculous low price. But those resellers have also got their own sort of business objectives and financial restrictions as well. So often you'll find that it sort of prices come down a bit and then they go back up again and then down a bit, and they'll kind of settle at a level where everyone sort of realizes what the game is and sort of their position within the game, whether they can really compete or not. So most of the time, that sort of common sense prevails most of the time.